I want to show you a picture, and this picture represents how people live their lives. This is what is called a gray scale. The black part of the scale is made up of what we would call losers, which is where you and I are. The gray part of the scale is for the good enough people, or the average people in life. The white part of the scale is for the winners in life. You and I have spent our entire lives in the black part of the scale, where the losers are. We have always been below average when it comes to every aspect of our lives. Physically, mentally, socially, we're not average people. We are losers. But that is what has given us our burning desire to improve, to start on our self-improvement journey. You and I are obviously trying to transition into the white part. We want to say that we have made it. We want to say that we are winners. But in order to become a winner, we have to go through the average part of the scale, the gray zone, which is where most people are, which is why it takes up the majority of the scale. What you and I have to keep in mind, though, is that as we are improving, so as we are transitioning from being a loser to average to a winner, we can't get comfortable being in the average zone. We still have a long way to go. The average zone it's only temporary for us. We have a bigger vision. We have a bigger goal in mind. We have a bigger vision, which is to become a winner. To us as losers, the average zone seems to be a win in and of itself, right? Because it's better than what we are right now. But the gray zone is for the people that live good enough lives, who live just, who live average to slightly above average lives. And we might get comfortable with the success of that because it's better than being a loser. But that is not where we want to stay. We can't stay average. We need to be winners. We need to be financially free. The good thing about being a loser is that you have nowhere else to go but up. And I will say that being a loser is better than being an average person. Because the average person, they might seem happy. They might seem happy with their lives, but I promise you that they are not. But they seem happy because they are too busy and distracted from noticing where they actually are in life. They consume too much quick dopamine to really settle down and sit and to actually realize that they are just average people, and that won't lead them to true happiness and true fulfillment. They still have to suck up to their bosses every single day, but they don't realize that they are actually doing it. They're not the best physically, but they're better than the losers, so they think that that is good enough, and that is the way that they live their lives. Good enough. That's not the life that we want to live, right? We want to be above and beyond average. We want to look down at the average people and laugh at them. Being an average person is a trap because you get to the point where you think, oh, I'm better than the losers. But you don't take the other part of the scale into account, the white part, the winners. You are stuck in the gray zone where it is comfortable. But before you know it, 40 years are going to pass by in your life, and you're still working that dumbass 9-to-5 job where you're still sucking up to your boss who doesn't give a shit about you. And that is where it actually hits you that you are living an average life, and that sucks. But you got complacent and comfortable with being average because it's better than being a loser, or so you think. The only way that an average person can escape the matrix of being average is by identifying and accepting that they are actually losers and that they are worse than the losers. They need to take a step back, which means going into the black zone, being a loser, and then starting all over again. If your whole life you've been average, you need to go from being average to being a loser to being average, but keeping the winner zone in mind, and then becoming a winner. That's the only way. You can't go from being average your whole life to, oh, suddenly I want to be a winner. You need to accept that you are average and a loser, and you need to take a step back, acknowledge it, and then grow and scale to becoming a winner, which means you have to go back through that average life, but you have a bigger goal in mind, a bigger picture, where you won't be comfortable with being average, that you are going for something greater. And for all the winners in life, they were not born winners. They were once losers as well, which is why it is good to be a loser, because the only way to go is up, and that is the mentality that all of the winners in life have had, and that is why they are winners now. So this is how you become a winner if you are a loser. If you are a loser your whole life, then you have to go through the average zone. Don't get comfortable being there. Have the bigger goal in mind of becoming a winner, and then you go through that zone and you become a winner. If you have been an average person your whole life, you have to acknowledge that you aren't where you are supposed to be. You need to escape the matrix, and you need to fall back and identify as a loser who has nothing. Then you have to scale up to becoming a winner, which means you have to go back through that average zone where you've been comfortable your whole life, but you need to keep the bigger picture in mind of becoming a winner. So you transition from being average to a loser to average to a winner. And so I want you to say this with me right now. I am grateful for being a loser. Our whole lives, we have known that we are losers. We haven't had to fight escaping being average because we've been losers our whole lives. So be grateful for that. For all the average people who are watching this, identify that you are actually a loser and that there is so much more to life than being average. Average today sucks. Like it's not a high bar to reach. The gap between being a loser and average is very, very small. But a lot of people stay stuck at being average because they think it's good enough and they think that there isn't much more that you could achieve in life than being average. But there is so much more that we are capable of than you and I can imagine. Keep that in mind as you are transitioning through these stages in life. Don't get stuck being comfortable. Keep on grinding. Keep on working hard to become a winner. I am grateful that I am a loser, and you should be too. Because the only way to go is up, to become a winner. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe and do all that shit. My name is Matthew, and I am a loser, and I will see you next time.